Everyone to our Tune In Tuesday. I'm Kevin Vogel. We're using the new presenter mode built into Teams here. And I see that Rusty and Alex and, there's a bunch of people with their cameras on today. This is getting very, very chummy here, which is really good. There's Chris Pyle in his office there. So this is becoming a nice little community that we have here on Together Tuesdays. So today we have a couple of guest speakers in here today. So let me go over here and flip the screen here. So today we have Ryan Lowell in here, and Ryan, say hello.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And Ryan's, one of our pre-sales technical experts. This guy, I'm telling you, he knows Microsoft cold. I think you're going to get a lot out of. He's going to be talking about Endpoint Manager today, right?
Yep, that's correct.
That's what I thought. And then Melissa's with us. Melissa's always with us. How you doing, Melissa?
Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Good, good. And Alex is going to be covering some of the different things that we have here inside of Inscape Manage, right? I mean, the scheduling reporting, right? Alex, you're going to cover that for us?
Absolutely, absolutely. Look forward to automating some of the workload our clients have been talking about in the past.
I'll tell you, it's the wave of the future. This automation thing. I don't know how many of you have started to use Power Automate or Flow, what they used to call, but man, you can do a lot with it. We're starting to do a lot with it here at Sirius. And in fact, I'm in this 3-day thing where we're actually doing this. We're voting. I happen to be lucky enough to be a judge on about 9 different applications that we've developed inside of Sirius here. The winner gets a big award, some type of trip or something. So we're really taking it serious here. We're also going to be talking about Internet Explorer 11's retirement. It's coming, believe it or not, 1 year from today, the June 15th of 2022. You're going to see that goes away. And then, like I told you, we're going to be talking about Intune, and that's what Ryan's going to be covering. So let's get into this right now. So Alex, why don't you walk through? I'll change the slides when you tell me to, and talk about, managing Inscape and scheduling reporting.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for joining today. I know during our onboarding, Melissa and myself, when we onboard our various clients, we're very eager to show all the different features that the platform has, to filter, for example, your end users. Do they have, MFA turned on? Do they have, their passwords set to expire or never to expire, and all that good stuff. But sometimes I get a question of, I don't go into Inscape every single day. Can I instead have some sort of report that's delivered to me or delivered to a shared mailbox, to a team of our IT managers? And yes, we absolutely have that as well. And that's the area that I'm going to cover real quick. Let me just share my screen here. Kevin, do you see the Inscape screen being shared?
I see it. You're looking good.
All right. Very, very cool. So if you go into the Manage tile right over here, I have a tab already open, so I'll just switch to that real quick. And if you go to this reporting section here at the top and you go down to the report listing, basically what we've got here is over 100 pre-built PowerShell scripts, but you can just trigger them inside of this nice GUI whenever you need. You can see the whole list here as I go through. And if you find a report that you like to use regularly, you can favorite it, and that'll show up in your personal favorites. So for example, if I go into personal favorites now, I have a user account properties report that I can pull up whenever I need. I can choose to print it out. I can choose to download it if I prefer to share it electronically or physically. I can also schedule it as well. So if I hit schedule, I can create a subscription, and in the schedule I can choose it to arrive at a particular mailbox, like a group mailbox every week, or set it to come out every month. I just choose the format here. I give it a name, who will be receiving it, or the group shared mailbox will be receiving it. the email subject line, and it'll go out, and you don't have to keep coming back into this report regularly to see that. Also,
Alex,
sure.
one question. Can you put more than one email address in there? Is it limited to just one email address, or can you put multiple? Let's say I wanted to send it out to a couple of people instead of just one.
So you also have a CC and a BCC fields as well. And you could even add an email body in case you want to provide a little context to people when they receive this, if you're sending this out to a group.
All right, so you can send it out to a bunch of people if you wanted to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other cool thing is we have this refresh report button here. So if this is a report that you like to keep up on your screen for a few hours of the day, you can always click the refresh to pull the latest metrics onto your screen. Any questions about this? Has anyone had some good successes to share about the reporting feature? Any favorite reports out there? Oh yeah, and Kevin, I believe we were talking about this earlier. Microsoft Teams also technically every team does have its own email address. Isn't that correct?
And that is correct. I was going to show them that, so I'm going to grab back control here of the screen, if you don't mind. So,
yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
So here we're back here in Teams. So just to show you exactly what I'm talking about, if you go into your Teams here, and you go into any team that you want, every single channel inside of a team actually has an email address. So for instance, if I wanted to send this to my Teams practice in here, which is a channel that I posted to the top of my Teams environment here, I can go in here and get the email address of that channel, copy it, and then send an email to that channel, which will actually appear right in the post section. So everyone will be able, that belongs to that team, will be able to see that post, see that report. I use it all the time. These just happen to be things that I'm doing here inside of the practice here.
Kevin, can you share your screen so they see the button where to click exactly?
I thought I did. Shoot. Okay.
I see the locker room. That's what I see behind.
Oh, you see just the locker room. Well, you know, it is the Colts. It is coming to football season. So
there we go. I see it now.
See it? Okay. So up here at the top is what I was talking about. Teams practice is underneath one of my teams. It's just one of a channel that I've actually pinned to the top of my Teams environment here. And if you right click or you click on these three buttons up here at the top, here's the email address. All you got to do is copy it. And even if you wanted to send an email from Outlook that you wanted to forward from someone, or you could do the reports that Alex just showed you and paste that email address right into the reports, it will get posted right here in the posts for that channel for anyone that belongs to that team. So it really is a great way to distribute a report like that to multiple people in a place where they can access it very, very easily. So hope that helps you guys. So I'm going to get back here. Well, I guess I should do this because everybody likes this version here. So I'm going to get back into the presentation here. So
sounds like a really good shortcut to you know, not having to create a shared mailbox. If you already have a group, a specific group in a Teams team, or a channel for that matter.
It is basically a shared mailbox. If you think about it, it's just shared with those people in the team. And you got to remember that when you create a team, you're actually creating three things automatically. You're creating a SharePoint document library where all the files go in. You're creating that email address, and you're creating an Office 365 group. So those three things are created every time you create a team, and the channel, which is where you post all the information, is where the email address is actually accessed from. So it makes it real easy to be able to do that. So anything else, Alex, that you got?
That's all. It was short but sweet.
Okay, great. All right, well, now we're going to go in here and talk a little bit about, you know, let's be honest, Internet Explorer has been around forever, and it's going away. In fact, as of 1 year from today, in 2022, it's going to be stop being supported in certain versions of Windows 10. And I have a chart here at the end to show you which ones those are. Now, Edge is obviously where Microsoft wants you to go. I use Edge all the time. I actually like it, but there's some applications out there that were written with ActiveX, that were written for Internet Explorer, that if you're not in IE mode, which you can go into IE mode inside of Edge and run those applications, but let's be honest, most end users aren't very familiar with all the options. They just click on the button, go to the website, and if it doesn't work, they close it down and they move on to the next. So you can use the IE mode inside of Edge to run those applications. So all you got to do is let them know where, let them know where it is. And like I told you, it's going to be supported through 2029, but only in certain OSs. And we'll get into that in a second. So you're going to see that, we're going to include this slide as part of, you'll get an email for this. These are all links. As you can see, they're all hot links to all of these different locations. So if you wanted to go in and maybe show people how to use IE mode, you could see there it is. It's just a link and with some instructions, very easy to do it. So you can see here, these are the Internet Explorer versions that will be supported. And you can see when things stop. So if you're using the semi-annual channel where you get all your updates starting on June 15th, 2022, IE desktop no longer is supported. And that's the standard look. If you see 8 or 7, hopefully you're off of those. They're all in there. So this is just a quick little guide on what can be supported inside of your Internet Explorer 11. A lot of people still have applications that they designed for it. So we just wanted to make sure you have 1 year to try to do whatever you need to do, whether it's teach people how to use the IE mode in Edge, whether it is go to Chrome, which is absolutely an option, or you can go to Firefox. Obviously, if you're in a Mac, it's going to be Safari. But little FYI, make sure you guys are just ready to go. So with that, I'm going to hand over the control here to Ryan. He's actually, or Ryan, you want me to walk through the slides and you control here? I'll allow you to take control here. So isn't this a great thing when you can allow somebody else? Go ahead. Ryan, I can't hear you just in case you're talking.
Yep. Sorry, I hit the mute button there.
Okay, no problem. Yep. What do you want to do?
I've got control. I'm going to take over here and get yourself off my screen. You're like that lady at the movie theater with the big tall hat up in the front, down in front.
Hey, I'm trying to make sure that I'm still in control here. So hold on one second. There we go.
Oh, I lost my slide. It must have gone onto the other window there.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn off my other window. I'm just. Everything's here on one screen. We don't have to worry too much. This is hard to do when it's just, okay, so here we go, PowerPoint. All right, you do the clicking.
Thank you. All right, everyone. So yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about Intune and Microsoft Endpoint Manager. And I'm really glad that we're doing this because this has been probably one of the most popular products that we've been helping customers with recently, especially given COVID. And, now, even though, life seems to be going a little bit back more to normal, the way that we work has fundamentally changed. Companies are not going all the way back into the office, right? We've now adopted this kind of hybrid mode of work for a lot of organizations. And this, Intune is really what fills this gap in terms of managing your devices, whether they're in the office or whether they're remote. And this has just been extremely popular. We've been helping customers left and right, help them plan their implementation and stand these up so that they can do some of their device management. So really great that we're talking about this at this point. So We're going to talk about Intune specifically, but I want you guys to understand where this lives in kind of the ecosystem inside of Microsoft 365. Intune itself is Microsoft's cloud-based device management platform, but it lives within this larger, group of products now, which Microsoft refers to as Microsoft Endpoint Manager. The whole idea behind this is to kind of converge all the different endpoint management that we've had for the longest time in Microsoft. The biggest one, from a historical standpoint, has been SCCM, System Center Configuration Manager. A lot of organizations ran that as a server in their organization that managed their servers, managed their desktops locally. And then Intune came along, which was the cloud managed part of that. And now the two of them work together in what's called co-management. So you can have just Intune by itself. You can have SCCM, or now what it's referred to as MECM, Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager is the new name for SCCM. So you can have one, you can have the other, or you can have both now together in co-management. And that enables you to have a very hybrid setup for how you manage your devices. And we've got some really other interesting products inside of this group. Windows Autopilot is one. That's something else we're going to talk about. But just know that when we're talking about Microsoft Endpoint Manager, we're talking about kind of this whole group of different products. All right, so going into device management, what do we mean by device management? So when we're talking about device management, this used to be mobile device management, right? We used it to manage our iPhones and our Androids and things like that. But this is expanded to be much more. Primarily, we're talking now about management of Windows 10. So we can actually use Intune in order to manage our Windows desktops, our laptops, our actual Windows, desktop style devices. In addition to that, we have the Mac OS management. So, a lot of Macs out there in terms of the environment, everything's becoming very kind of platform agnostic. You use the hardware that works for you. So we can manage Windows 10 and Mac. And then, of course, we can manage iOS, Android. And now we have this concept called mobile application management. And the reason why that came about and is a key part of Intune is a lot of people have a bring your own device, right? Everyone has their own personal iPhone, their personal Android that they use for work purposes. And in a lot of cases, previously, the management of your mobile devices had to be, you had to take over control of that device, right? You had to enroll that device in the company management. And that way, people were a little bit uncomfortable because, well, now the company can see all the pictures of my dog and stuff like that I've got on my phone, and they could remotely wipe my whole device and I lose all my contacts and everything. A lot of people don't like that. So what Microsoft has done is they've built something called mobile application management, where if you have your personal device and you're using the Outlook app and the Teams app and the OneDrive and the SharePoint apps and so on your device, we can actually deploy policies that control those apps. So for example, we can control the Outlook app or the Word app to allow people to log into the company files, to open them up, to edit them on their mobile device, but we can prevent them from doing things like copying and pasting company data from that app into a notepad or into a personal email or a cloud service that we don't have control over. We can put a fence around those applications so that people can still access them on their personal devices, and we don't need to manage their whole device. We don't need to take over control of their personal applications, personal devices, but we can still provide protection around that data and make sure that it's not going places that we don't want it to go. So that's another very interesting application of this. Another key part of managing devices with Intune is that this is internet-based management. All these devices, when we're using Intune to manage them, are checking in directly with Microsoft. You don't have to have a VPN going back to your domain controllers or your main company network. That's the way that it was for a lot of companies before they sent everybody home. They managed their devices through group policy in Active Directory, or they had SCCM on premise. The problem with those is that you have to be in line of sight to a domain controller. Your devices need to be able to check in with the domain when you update a policy in order to get that new policy. If you're not on the VPN, you're not in the office, you're not getting those new policies, and that can cause significant problems. Intune gets around that because the computer's checking in directly over the internet with Microsoft. So we don't need to worry about VPN connections. Even if we have them, we don't need them to be connected in order to get those new policies. And we don't need any third-party, RMMs. This is built right into Microsoft in order to manage these devices. As I said, we now have co-management with SCCM, or MECM as it's now known, Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager. So when we're using SCCM maybe to manage our servers or to manage imaging of devices, and we're using Intune to maybe manage our compliance or our security or our configurations, we can actually now snap those two together and have visibility across both in a single pane of glass. You get all your compliance, all your configuration, all together in one window, and it makes it very, very easy to manage the devices. Another thing that Intune is really fantastic about is device compliance. So we can set up compliance profiles for our devices that check boxes like, let's make sure that the device is running on a recent version of iOS or recent version of Android. We don't want to be too far behind. We can make sure that they are compliant, that they have the devices encrypted. We can use BitLocker on Windows 10. We can require that the device be encrypted in order to be compliant. We can check on the status of the antivirus and all other kinds of things to make sure that our devices are meeting our compliance requirements. And we can enforce compliance on those devices. So for example, let's say somebody takes their iPhone and jailbreaks it, right? They want to be able to install all kind of apps that maybe are a little bit sketchy. Well, we can exclude devices that are jailbroken from our compliance profile. And if somebody tries to access company data from a non-compliant device, we can lock it out. We can prevent them from getting that access. And that ties into our conditional access. So a lot of organizations are setting up rules to enforce things like multi-factor authentication. Or maybe we want to only allow people to log into our company data from the office or from a particular location. Or maybe we're going to require them to be using the VPN before they can come in to our cloud services. Well, Intune ties into conditional access. So we can say you can log in from a company managed device into our Microsoft Teams. But if you're trying to come in from a personal device, sorry, we don't want to let you in. So we can set up those rules, it's kind of if-then rules to meet those particular conditions to allow people to log in. And Intune gives us more conditions, like whether the device is a company device, whether the device is a compliant device, to edit those conditions and make our logins very secure. And the last piece, which is really fantastic, is Autopilot. This is a relatively new feature inside of Intune. And what Autopilot allows you to do is to take a device that is completely fresh out of the box, straight from the OEM. You can send that device to your user. And when they first open up the computer, they type in their Office 365 username and password when Windows is going through its initial setup. We can have all of our configuration, all of our settings, all of our applications, all of our security enforcement, everything like that, downloaded to that device and set that up right there on their desk. The computers don't have to go to the IT department first for you guys to apply an image and install antivirus and enroll it in all this different stuff and apply software and then pack it back up in a box and send it back out to your end user. So you can see, and this is built in with the OEMs in partnership of this. So, the Lenovo's and the Dells of the world, you can have an order placed with them. The computer goes straight to the end user, wherever they happen to be, could be working from home. And by the time that computer gets to their door, that computer is already registered inside of your Intune. Dell can drop that hardware ID right into your system. And that way, when the user types in their username and password, it brings down all their configuration, brings down all their apps, and they're ready to go. They go ahead, they use it. We use Intune to manage it, keep it current, keep it updated. And let's say maybe the person's kid got their hands on it, installed all kinds of games. Or maybe that person left the organization and we need to reset it, get it ready for the next person. We can use Autopilot to redeploy that computer back to that state that we want it to be in. Next person logs into it, we're ready to go. So that Windows Autopilot is enabling us to speed up provisioning of those computers and to do that directly to the people who are going to use them instead of having to drop ship it through the IT department to get those things set up and ready to go. All right, I know I just covered a lot of ground. Does anybody have any questions about Autopilot or Intune or SCCM or all of the kind of device management story around Windows? All right, then if not, Kevin, I'm going to hand the microphone back to you.
No, and thanks, Ryan. That was fantastic. I think you guys can see how, and I will, let's see, take back control here. So, all right. So there we go. So I'll present my desktop just so we're not doing anything. So you can see that, this is a product that I'll tell you, I get a lot of inquiries. I know that also, Ryan and all the pre-sales guys. So this endpoint manager is no joke. And, the nice thing is, if you guys have one of the Microsoft SKUs like Microsoft 365, E3 or E5, these are included, Intune is included in those licensing, and we could start helping you actually get these type of features built up and ready to go. So if you have any questions for Ryan or anyone here in the meeting, you could post them right here in the chat button. I know we're coming up to time here. We just got 4 minutes left. Does anybody have anything they want to ask about? I don't care if it's scheduling, reports like Alex did, or you want to talk about IE 11, or you want to talk about, the endpoint manager. We're all here to help you. Okay, great. All right, well, we'll make sure that you get the presentation. It's got all those links that I showed you, especially for IE 11. It's also got all the information from Ryan and from Alex. We appreciate your time. Let's just make sure that, let's see if there's any other slides here. I'm sure there's always, Stacy always puts slides in here too. Let me just go to the next one. Somehow they got really small. Oh, I guess over here. Oh, too big. There we go. So on June 22nd, we're going to be talking about bulk operations. And I know that Melissa or Alex will be covering that. We're going to be covering a new feature that's built into Teams, one of my favorite products. We're going to be talking about the new webinar feature, the registration that's included, and so on, and how to integrate email into your Microsoft Teams and put you in one environment for the entire day where you don't have to leave it. And then on the last one of the month, we're going to talk about the setting up out of office inside of Teams. And we're going to be looking at different things that you can do in Inscape. And then, of course, Microsoft Viva, which is the big new employee engagement platform that's going to be built into Teams. In fact, some of it is already there. Some of it's free. We're going to be telling you what's free and what's not. And with that, we're up here at the bottom of the hour. We appreciate your time. You guys have a great rest of the week. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for your time.
All right. Have a great day.